You all for being here today. I know we've got a lot of District 2 community members who are joining us this evening, as well as our key partners who have supported the work to bring One Branham Lane online and are going to continue to support us as we work towards success with One Branham Lane in District 2. So for those of you who may not know me, my name is Pamela Campos, and I have the honor of representing San Jose on the City Council, representing District 2 and our beautiful, diverse neighborhoods in South San Jose. I'm really grateful to you all for joining us this evening for an important virtual information session regarding the One Branham Lane interim housing community located right here in our district on the corner of Monterey and Branham. This informational session is being recorded and will be posted on the District 2 website. As you know, One Branham Lane is a key component of the citywide effort to address the critical issue of unsheltered homelessness in San Jose. And we are facing a significant challenge with over 5,400 individuals experiencing unsheltered homelessness in our city. Because of this, it is imperative that we do everything within our power to move people off of the streets and into safe shelter and ultimately into permanent housing solutions. And I'm hopeful that projects like this one that we're speaking about today on One Branham Lane can serve as a model for how strong partnerships between the city and a range of dedicated partners can lead to the creation of meaningful interim housing solutions while simultaneously providing the essential services our most vulnerable residents need to regain their footing. Now, I've heard concerns from many folks in our district about the potential impact of this project on the quality of life, the neighboring communities, and because of this reason, among many others, my team and I felt that it was crucial to convene this informational session so that we could bring together the key partners that are going to help us address your questions and concerns directly. So with that said, we will proceed to our first presentation from Housing Deputy Director Cupid Alexander at the City of San Jose's Housing Department, who will discuss the referral and outreach process. Welcome, Cupid.
Thank you, Councilmember. Welcome, everyone. I do want to call out, I have a couple colleagues with me, Greg Pinsinger and Vanessa Butera. We're going to give a quick overview of this process, and then I'll ask them for a few comments, and then we'll go to the next speaker. I know there will be a few questions. If we could put up the first slide. So we're talking about the Monterey and Branham outreach and opening process, and we want to kind of demystify some of the things that might be out there and hopefully get to the bottom of what our process was, how clients are identified, and how they're going to be added to the site. Next slide, please. So one of the things that we wanted to point out is that the longstanding priority area was something that was identified with previous council. So as you can see, the focus areas had been Capitol Expressway to Metcalf, including Great Oaks and Endicott, Monterey and Ford, VTA Station, Park and Ride, and then Xander's Crossing Bridge. Many of you are familiar with that. What you might not be familiar with is that the process that we went through for our outreach was our Service, Outreach, and Assistance Resources. We called it SOAR. And now we move to what's called Targeted Outreach and Engagement Program, or TOPE. This happened during the process. One of the things that we identified is that though previous council had identified 5 hotspot areas, we wanted to shift the methodology. It just wasn't captured necessarily in this iteration. And what that means is that as the timeline for development kind of extended, we still stayed focused on these 5 areas. As you can see, TOPE aims to align sites with upcoming units. What that is that we have an encampment resolution model. An encampment resolution model is that we go to an area as long as we have identified housing, and then we try to resolve the encampments we've determined within a 1.5 mile, 1 to 1.5 mile radius, and then we offer them housing through this process. For Branham and Monterey, we had already existing 5 pretty much focus areas, and that's what we stuck to. As you all know, the project was funded through HCD, which is Housing and Community Development, and it's a Homekey project. So understanding the need in this area, we had that locality preference, which was only for the first 30 days of opening. We had outreach for months and months before, but the prioritization after opening would only be for 30 days. And this is abnormal for Homekey developments. Usually they don't allow this. So we thank HCD for allowing this locality preference. Next slide, please. So as you all saw, March 2024, we had outreach started. So this was last year under the SOAR program, and then we transitioned to our TOPE program. We had initially had dates that the units were going to be open. There were some delays due to some outstanding issues. We thank our partners for catching those issues ahead of time. And then we still had the engagement happening. So select encampments were upcoming housing resources in our TOPE approach. But when we had transition, we still stayed focused on those 5 sites. I do want to reiterate, in the future, in other developments, we will have a 1.5-mile radius. In this development, we had those 5 priority areas, and those were pre-existing from previous council direction. So we stayed committed to those 5 specific areas. I did want to call out case management. So case management includes documentation prep services, linkages. So think of individuals who need medical, mental health appointments, some of the benefits. You think about temporary assistance for needy family, TANF, things like that. Our site partner do help individuals get things that they need so they're not just sitting stagnant and helping them towards their housing journey. Next slide, please. And this is our final slide. So our initial site priority window was our first 30 days. And like I said, we're reiterating that there were 5 priority areas there. I know I had a couple conversations with a few people because some of the questions were in regards to where we continue to do outreach and engagement. And that's why I have a couple colleagues who might be able to clear the air in regards to that. Individuals expressing interest. So if you have individuals who are expressing interest, that locality preference timeline has since expired, I believe. And so we are asking individuals to call the Here For You hotline. That's the county's coordinated entry system that does an assessment and allows individuals to come to housing if they get to the top of the list. But there are additional qualifications. In the city's emergency interim housing, there is no income requirements or income restrictions as long as you're unhoused. For this, you have to be at 15% AMI or lower. In real terms, that means you're making less than $19,000 in order to be someone who qualifies for this particular housing unit. So just because someone is unhoused, if their income is above this, for this particular opportunity, they would be disqualified. So before we go to the next speakers, I think we can take this off the screen. Thank you for that. I'm going to open it up to my colleagues, Greg and Vanessa, if there was anything that I missed, because I want to make sure that we're relaying specific information, and then I'll hand it back over to the council member. Greg, Vanessa, is there anything that you would like to make sure that this community understands so we're all on the same page?
Go ahead, Vanessa.
Yes, we continue to do priority outreach and try to re-engage with those individuals that we may have lost contact with. So we haven't given up. We're continuing to still try to find those individuals. And if we do, we will help facilitate that process to 1 Branham Lane.
Thank you, Greg. Anything that you would like to clarify?
I think you covered it. Keep it in, Vanessa. Thank you.
Thank you. And council member, we'll hand it back over to you. We'll stay on this call and we're ready for any questions that the community may have.
Thank you so much, Cupid, for that information, and Vanessa and Greg for being here to also support with answering questions. You know, it's not an easy job that you do, and I'm so grateful that you all work so diligently in supporting our community. Next, we will hear from Aubrey Merriman, Chief Executive Officer of LifeMoves. Welcome, Aubrey.
Good evening, council member. Thank you for having me, and good evening, everybody. I also, before I start, want to acknowledge my LifeMoves colleagues that are joining me here today. We have Anat Anaruki, who is our VP of Programs, Heather Griffith, who is our Director of Interim Housing in Santa Clara County, and we have Sarah Fields, who's our Director of Community Engagement and Public Affairs. So I'll do a brief overview of LifeMoves, and then I will turn it over to their voices to talk a little bit more about who we are and what we do. But LifeMoves is the largest provider of interim housing and support services in the region. We have over 24 interim supportive housing communities and counting. We serve over 7,000 individuals and families over the course of the year. Our mission is to end homelessness through providing interim housing, powerful whole person care and support services, as well as engaging in collaborative partnerships. And this project at 1 Branham Lane is an example of the collaborative partnership in our work with the City of San Jose, Santa Clara County, and the state of California through Project Homekey. And so we are honored to be in this space. And in addition to trying to navigate our clients that we work with in their housing journey to more permanent housing, we also seek to be a good neighbor in the communities in which we find ourselves. And so we're intentional about not only the services that we provide inside our interim housing communities, but how we interface and interact with the larger neighborhood and the people that call those neighborhoods home. And lastly, I'm a 25-year resident of District 8, so San Jose is near and dear to my heart. And I will turn it over to my team.
Thank you, Aubrey. As Aubrey mentioned, my name is Sarah Fields. I serve as the Director of Community Engagement and Public Affairs for LifeMoves. I'm going to be taking you through some of the interior of the site and answer some questions that I know we received previously, and take you through a bit more information about our clients and what happens on site. So this image here shows an overview right around the time construction concluded for the site. I'm sure many of you are familiar with this area, but shows the layout of the site. Something I do want to point out is the initial designs had this site inverted with the buildings along where the parking area is, and because of early community engagement and feedback, the site was shifted. So do know that community engagement and feedback from particularly from the folks at Deer Run 2 and the neighborhoods is taken into account and has been across the project. So a few things about Branham Lane. Branham Lane is part of a statewide effort to reduce homelessness across all of California through something called Project Homekey and its predecessor, Project Roomkey. It involves modular construction, so quick build construction is often how it's framed here in the city of San Jose, and hotel renovations from hotels into site-based services. There are 204 rooms for clients, which translates into 144 single units and 24 flex units. Those flex units can serve between 2 and 6 clients, depending on the layout and makeup of that household. We began welcoming clients on site February 20th, so we have just surpassed a month in service. And as our colleagues at the housing department indicated, there was a priority area list that predated the current council, as well as a targeted outreach to the Great Oaks encampment. Many of you on the call will remember that this site itself was an encampment prior to construction and groundbreaking. So really trying to serve folks who have ties to quite proximate to the site. So now that Great Oaks encampment has been cleared and that priority list has been actualized, we're now starting to take this week clients through the county referral process. That's the Here For You hotline. There are 67 clients as of last Friday enrolled in the program at Branham Lane, and we are on track to hit the state goal of 90% occupancy, which would be 184 clients by May 28th. Here you can see right when you enter the gated area of the site in the center, there's the front desk, which is where those orange chairs are, and there's a tablet if you go into the interior of that second small room where clients sign in and out. So we know who's on site for safety and security reasons at all times. You walk into this courtyard area, that's the image on the far left. And on the image on the far right is the welcome room where intake takes place, allows for some privacy as we go through the questions for intake. So we've gotten a lot of questions, and I know there's a lot of neighborhood curiosity around who exactly our clients are and who we're serving on site. So this is a site that's for adults, meaning 18 and older. There are no minors that are clients on site here at Branham Lane. We serve singles, couples, and households made up of multi-generational families. So it could be an older couple and their younger adult children. Could be a younger couple and maybe an aging parent or aunt or uncle. Oftentimes there's a caregiver type of connection with multi-generational households. And we know that this is a priority to keep the family unit together. So there's social support built in the client experience. The city of San Jose is the priority area for serving clients. So there's a priority of serving individuals who have ties to or their most previous address is the city of San Jose. Maximum capacity of the site is 216 clients at a time. As Cupid alluded to earlier, there is a cap at 15% income for an individual person. That's $19,350. For a household of 4 people, that's $27,645. And there is a commitment to serve 25% of the clients at any given time have what HUD, the Department of Housing and Urban Development, categorizes as chronically homeless or chronically unhoused. That's defined, I apologize for the small font at the bottom, but that's defined as unhoused for at least 1 year or have experienced multiple episodes of homelessness over a 3-year period, while also struggling with a disabling condition like serious mental illness, substance use disorder, or a physical disability. So that's a federally defined categorization. And to give you a sense of kind of our client population, last year across all of our clients in Santa Clara County, we found that clients on average were earning about $1,000 a month, either in income or in benefits, or a combination of the two. So what does it look like to be a client and to be living at Branham Lane? Here on the left, you can see one of the bedrooms in the flex units. So you can see connects to another unit next door. The 2 doors that are open behind that bed show that the units can be opened up for a larger household or closed for a smaller household, depending on household makeup. In the center, we see the client outpost, where if clients are coming to us with very few possessions and need clothes, shoes, other kinds of supplies, we can work with our community partners and client assistance funds to make sure that we're identifying the right items for our clients to make sure all basic needs are met. And then lastly, in the corner, you can see the dog run and pet play area. So that's sort of the 3 Ps that we've focused on in LifeMoves in the last several years. As we're coming sort of through and out of the pandemic, we call them the 3 Ps. So privacy, possessions, and pets. Really thinking about how we can serve our clients in the most humane and sort of partner-focused ways. We had a lot of questions about sort of the approach in Homekey, and per all other programs administered by the state of California that serve people experiencing homelessness, Homekey requires the use of something called Housing First. This evidence-based model quickly and successfully connects individuals and families experiencing homelessness to housing without preconditions or barriers to entry, such as sobriety, treatment, or service participation requirements. So this is one of the aspects of Homekey. This is a low barrier to entry site. We want to work with all of our clients towards stability and independence. Okay, so more on what it's like to live at Branham Lane and what the supportive services look like. So all the rooms are ADA accessible, which is a great benefit to us. In previous locations at other sites, we have to hold those accessible rooms for clients who qualify. Because of the roll-in showers, because of the elevators at the site, we're able to accommodate multiple clients who may have disabilities and not have to restrict rooms to only to particular clients. So we have that flexibility to really meet the needs on the ground. Modular construction, that's how it was able to be built up and running from groundbreaking to opening and serving clients within a matter of only a couple of years. There is an eye towards sustainability at the site with low water plants and solar panels for energy offsets. In addition, there's a community garden, that's the image in the bottom left, that also serves as a nice opportunity for us to grow some of our own food at the site, but also as an opportunity for therapeutic gardening for our clients. There's controlled access at the site, as you all most likely know. It's a gated site, and so we know when our clients are on site, or if they've left for an outside appointment or to go to a job or any other kind of activity. And we know when our clients are on site, and when we have outside providers come on site, we're also keeping track of that as well. That's for everyone's safety and security. The individual rooms have, as well as the flex units, have kitchenettes. So there's the opportunity for clients to make and prepare their own food, in addition to the communal meals that we serve in the top image on the left. That shows the dining facility. There are community rooms, a conference room, meeting rooms for different kinds of group instruction, as well as AA and NA meetings, and other kinds of support groups that could take place on site. There's a small room for telehealth appointments that has individual booths, so that if a client is meeting with a provider virtually, there is the space to do that with privacy. There is a licensed vocational nurse on staff who will help with healthcare support and assistance, as well as navigation through healthcare needs. So all of you know that San Jose is an expensive place to live. I think it's important to be grounded in just how expensive it is today. So as of March 2025, this very month, the average rent in San Jose is $2,602 per month. This is 67% higher than the national average rent price of just over $1,500 a month, making San Jose one of the most expensive cities in the US. When you rent an apartment in San Jose, you can expect to pay about $2,200, almost $2,300 a month for a studio, $2,600 for a one-bedroom, and around $3,300 for a two-bedroom apartment. So this is an image here in in the large community room from our opening. You'll likely recognize the mayor, Matt Mahan, on the left. Something that I hope that you all can take away from this evening is that the pathways in and out of homelessness are unique as our clients themselves. There is no one distinct pathway that sort of befalls someone that brings them into homelessness, and there's no one distinct pathway out. However, when a client becomes a client, or a household together becomes one of our clients, our case managers work closely to build a real sort of map and a case plan towards their goals, towards visioning what's next. And LifeMoves staff, as well as our graduate student interns, graduate students in social work, and also, so we have MSW students and also doctorate in psychology students who work closely with our clients in industry best practices, employing motivational interviewing and conventional therapies, as well as alternative therapies like gardening and arts therapies. And our staff are so dedicated to working closely with clients to make sure that the best suited options and supports are available to our clients. We receive many questions about staffing on site. When the site is fully staffed, which it will be in the coming month, we will have 40 full-time staff, or the equivalent, I should say, of 40 full-time staff at the site. This includes 3 leadership positions, 1 program director, and 2 operations and service managers, OSMs we call them, as well as other staff here listed. So 13 case managers in total for just over about 200 clients, 12 full-time and 3 part-time residential service coordinators, and 5 program aides. Those are sort of the catch-all positions that help to make the site run both on the facilities and maintenance side, but also making sure that client needs are taken care of. Something I do really want to make sure that's emphasized is there will be 4 specialists. Those are folks who, professionals who concentrate on these particular areas. 2 housing specialists. Obviously, the goal in all of our programs is towards permanent housing. So really working with our clients towards that aim, in addition to the aims that the case managers are focusing through. Really, everyone is working towards housing, but those housing specialists can really focus in on the nuts and bolts of moving towards housing. Vocational and employment, we're always working with our clients towards increasing their income, and then benefits as well can also be a move towards increasing your income. I mentioned the LVN previously, but really it's very important that we have someone. We know that especially for our clients who've been living in unsheltered conditions, some of them for long periods of time, it can take a significant toll on your health. And so that process of coming indoors and stabilizing, working on your physical as well as your mental and behavioral health is a key component of the LifeMoves model. So with that, I will say thank you to everyone. If you have questions, more questions that don't get answered this evening, we will try to answer as many questions as we can, but we're committed to an hour. Please feel free to contact Branham Lane at lifemoves.org. And if you're interested in volunteering at the site or making a donation to the site, as I'd mentioned, that client outpost, you can email volunteer@lifemoves.org. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarah. And shout out to the neighbors who have already shown interest in wanting to volunteer and get to better know the neighbors that we have at 1 Branham Lane. I just want to thank Aubrey, Sarah, Heather, and Anat from the LifeMoves team. We truly appreciate your partnership and your commitment to being a good neighbor in District 2. And next, we will be hearing from our new Southside Police Captain, Captain Steve Payne.
Thank you, Councilmember. I don't have a presentation, just a very quick intro. My name is Steve Payne. I'm a brand new Southern Division Captain. I took over for Captain Steve Donahue a few weeks ago. The last few weeks have definitely been a baptism by fire, especially learning about all the different projects going on in the city, like 1 Branham Lane, all the different city resources and services. But happy to be here, happy to learn about it all. And I look forward to fielding any questions pertaining to public safety on this call. Aside from that, I'm just going to be here listening and learning. So thank you again for having me.
Thank you, Captain. We are so grateful to have your leadership at SJPD serving our district. And we have a lot of neighbors in District 2 who are enthusiastic about working directly with our police department and our community partners and community members to address our public safety concerns. So thank you again for joining us tonight. Next, we have Jamie Marcel and Kevin Richardson from BeautifySJ to share with us how they approach encampment management in our district.
Hi there, everybody. My name is Jamie Marcel. Thank you, Councilmember, for the introduction. My name is Jamie Marcel, and I am the program manager over at Beautify San Jose, overseeing our abatement program and also our interagency program. And joining me today is Kevin Richardson, who can introduce himself a little bit after, talk a little bit more specifically about our no encampment zone. But our team is responsible for performing abatements in San Jose for the encampments and providing weekly trash services, as well as RVP3 program, the Cash for Trash program, and working with our other jurisdictional partners such as Caltrans, Union Pacific, Valley Water, and our other great partners. So we can get a little bit more specific in the questions. However, I'm sure that there's going to be more questions about the no encampment zone. So I'll go ahead and pass it over to Kevin Richardson, who could talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jamie. Our no encampment zones are a initiative to preserve our progress throughout the city of San Jose. And we've seen it through Guadalupe River from 87 to West Way, to Julian, and then also now with Endicott and Great Oaks in your area over there. So it basically allows us to prioritize or show less tolerance for encampments around certain areas, such as emergency interim housings, and be able to provide cleanups and support for your communities. If there's any questions, like I said, regarding our encampment management strategies and our no encampment zone implementation or anything regarding to that, I'm happy to answer any of those questions. Thank you for the introduction.
Thank you, Jamie and Kevin. I appreciate you both being here. I understand how difficult it can be to do this crucial work in a way that ensures we successfully move our unhoused neighbors off of the streets with respect and dignity. It is really important work that is essential to the success of One Branham Lane. And so is the work of all of our presenters. So I want to, say thank you again to everyone who joined the call, everyone who joined to give some information. And now we are going to move into our Q&A session. And so there was an opportunity to submit questions ahead of time. We will begin with those and make our way to any other questions if there's time allowed at the end. So the first question is for Captain Payne. The question is, how and when should we report suspicious activity, and to whom?
So thank you for the question. There's all different types of suspicious activities, obviously. First, I'd say if you think that it's an emergency, it rises to that level where you fear that something bad is about to happen, by all means, call 911. Going down to maybe something that's just a little bit out of the ordinary, you're not too sure, but you think the police should come and check it out. We have a 7-digit non-emergency number, and it's 277-8900. And that's something you could report, just like I said, things that are out of the ordinary or maybe just don't feel right. But if you're just not sure, I would err on the side of caution. Call 911. No one's ever going to fault you for being safe.
Thank you, Captain Payne. And again, is that a 408-277-8900 number?
Yes.
Okay,
Sorry.
awesome. No worries, no worries. Thank you. We've got a couple of questions for LifeMoves. First off is, what are the rules and expectations for clients enrolled in your program?
Great. So when a client is welcomed into our program, there is a community guideline document that is signed by every client that lets the individual or the household kind of know what the expectations are that site staff has, including regularly meeting with your case manager, engaging with the program, following quiet hours, things like that. And then we also sort of go over, orient you to the neighborhood. I know that there, the neighborhood just behind Branham Lane, Deer Run 2 is a privately maintained neighborhood. So we're letting clients know as they're coming in that, we encourage them to take walks in the area, but to go a different direction. The library across the street has been very welcoming to us, and we make sure that folks know about that as a community resource. We do have expectations for our clients to engage and to be productive within the expectations that we roll out. There are some state rules around sort of how much enforcement and guidelines we can have, but we follow the law, of course. And I imagine Heather Griffin, who oversees many of our Santa Clara County sites, may have something to add around rules and guidelines. We've received several questions in the chat, and I just also want to make sure that everyone understands Homekey projects do not charge any kind of rent or program fee. That's per the state. And this is interim housing, meaning it is not permanent housing. And so the expectation is for the clients to move on to permanent housing. There is no specific time limit for the site, but we've found across our experience that somewhere between that 6 to 12 month mark typically is where we see the most success. that allows clients to come in and stabilize and really work through a plan, usually save some money, potentially sometimes maybe they make a connection with another client and go on to become roommates, things like that can really work towards a future success and not being a return client. That's really always what we want to see is a successful exit, and then for us to not see our clients at least as clients again. Heather, anything to add?
Yeah, no, thank you, Sarah. So just going back a little bit to our welcome packet and kind of expectations for our clients, we do go over expectations of both what they can expect of us as their support providers. That's crucial in terms of like helping them move forward in that pathway, but also, as Sarah mentioned, what's expected within the community so that we're good neighbors and partners. We not only give them that day one, but as many of you can imagine, that can be a really overwhelming experience and transition. So we go over it again in case management meetings. We have opportunities to help folks understand or navigate through some of things that may be adjustments from their previous living arrangements. And then we also hold community meetings where as a collective group, we go over any of those things. That's safety, community involvement, again, expectations for case management and what resources we have available to them. Those happen on a weekly basis. And then it allows for some discussion for clients so they can get any questions answered or clarified during those times.
Yeah, thank you for answering that question, and then also for chiming in on the questions in the chat. That was very, very helpful information. The other question is, what kind of traits do successful clients exhibit or demonstrate so that they're ready to move on from the site? What does that look like?
If I may, I'm Anat with LifeMoves, the Vice President of Programs and Services. And as Sarah mentioned earlier, our clients often have very different experiences that brought them to being unhoused. And so their exit out of a homeless experience is also going to be unique to each person. That being said, we welcome everyone. Anyone who is willing to come inside, to rebuild community, to be a part of things in a different way and to work on their goals towards stability. Through our specialists, we're able to help folks on many of their goals, and we are always thrilled to partner with other community providers and experts to support someone on their pathway. As Sarah mentioned, we find kind of the magic sweet spot of service provision to be about 6 to 12 months. It's enough time for folks to come in, kind of take a deep breath, feel safe again, get some good night's rest, and start working on income goals and then housing goals. And we're excited to partner with people in choosing their pathway towards stability.
Thank you for that response, Anat. I think it is very important that we acknowledge the amount of collaboration and support that is needed to help keep people out of the cycle of homelessness. It is very much a systems and infrastructure based problem that we are trying to solve for. And so that is why it takes a community to really help us work our way through this problem of homelessness and affordable housing crisis in San Jose. So the next question we have is for the BeautifySJ team. With the city's commitment to no encampment zones near, or I'm sorry, what is the city's commitment to no encampment zones near sites like Branham Lane?
Hi there, I'll go ahead and answer that. And also I was typing in some answers, so I want to make sure, Councilmember, that the questions that you're going is going to be different from the ones in the Q&A box.
Yes, the questions I'm asking are the questions that were submitted ahead of time.
Alrighty, so in terms of the current areas that will be a no encampment zone, the areas are temporarily posted with paper notices in which are surrounding the EIHs. We have a plan to install permanent signage in the areas approximately April 4th timeframe. And what this will look like is our teams will be going to the area daily to monitor and address any encampments as soon as they come to the area. We'll have a little bit more authority to go in and remove those encampments and work with those individuals. We are also, I did want to also share although we're monitoring the area, I did want to share that for any resident on this call or anyone who would like to report an encampment that is in the no encampment area, you can go on to the Beautify website and go to report an encampment, and that will send the information directly to our team to assess the area. And so that is the process. If there's any specifics, I can provide that. I know this area, people may have questions regarding the other jurisdictions such as Union Pacific that is right there by the EIH, Branham and Monterey. So I did want to share that Union Pacific will be coming soon to remove the encampments and address trash and debris on their property. And we are looking at long-term solutions to work with them on addressing that property.
And is to follow up on that question, how do we report unsheltered homelessness or the appearance of a new or growing encampment in District 2 neighborhoods?
Yes, so right now there is a report an encampment form that is on the city website, or you can Google report an encampment City of San Jose. It will take you to the encampment reporting portal, and you would click report an encampment. It also gives you the option to report a lived-in vehicle. And when you are inputting the information, it asks what type of concern are you reporting, individuals experiencing homelessness in need of assistance. That will direct the concern to our housing partners on this call. And if you select trash at an encampment, that will send that to our Beautify San Jose team, and we'll go out there and assess. And our team, we have our abatement teams. We provide a couple different encampment services across the city, but if it is in a no encampment zone, we're going to be able to address that immediately. So yes, that website is, I could send it also through this communication after the meeting, so everybody has it. It's not on San Jose 311. It's on a separate website with report an encampment.
Thank you, Jamie. I appreciate those answers to our questions. I'll ask one last question. Is there a map or a resource where folks can see what the no encampment zones are?
They're not public facing right now. However, the actual signage that will be installed at this location will have a picture of the map area on the sign itself.
Thank you for that. I've got a couple of questions for the housing department now. The first is, what is the process for someone to become a client at the Branham Lane site?
Yeah, thank you for that. And Councilmember, I think someone had put in the chat, I appreciate it. They're like, these are softball questions, so I'm going to answer some harder questions, right? So some of you might think that it is an application process like similar to Section 8 or similar to public housing. That is not how this works. How it works is that there's the Here For You hotline. And the Here For You hotline's phone number is 408-385-2400. That is the application entity. They have a wait list. We have a local preference of being within the city of San Jose, but that wait list is where we get the names from in order to be at this Branham and Monterey. Prior, we had that preference, that locality preference. That was our window that we had for those who were immediately encamped within those 5 areas across the street where we did some outreach to get them in. Now it goes back over to the Homekey application process, which is facilitated by the state.
Yeah. And what if any, restrictions are there for someone to become a client?
Thank you, Councilmember. I'm going to ask the harder question and answer the harder question that's been ruminated all over the place. So one of them is that you have to be under 15%. I think Sarah had indicated that, but there's another. It's in regards to 290 backgrounds. Individuals that have restrictions for 290, they're legal restrictions, those who might have to apply for Jessica's law, because Megan's law allows individuals to know who's within those areas, might not be able to live here. Just because you have a 290 does not mean that you're excluded from Branham and Monterey. I want to indicate that. Just because you have a 290 does not mean that you're excluded from Branham and Monterey. The harder question and the harder answer is going to be for individuals due to the tier of their criminal background. Tier 2, tier 3 means that we have to do increasing background checks in regards to that to see if this is somewhere that they would be or would not be able to live at. We're making sure we're working with LifeMoves to come up with the protocol. So I wanted to call that out because I know that so many have asked us. There are some requirements around those who have crimes of a sexual nature that would exclude them from being here, not because Brennan Monterey or the Homekey project says you can't live here. It's saying that your background indicates that you can't be in close proximity to certain things. So I wanted to call that out because I think that that was the harder question that people have asked.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you for taking those harder questions. We did get a couple questions come in for Captain Payne. And so when a 911 call comes in about an active crime, what are your officers able to do to address those crimes?
They'll respond to any call for service at one Branham Lane, just as they would anywhere else in the city. Not the issue, but the thing with calls for service is they're prioritized by severity of what's being reported. So, I mean, if it's something that's a lower priority, than say something like a shooting or a stabbing, then it's probably going to pen for a little bit if we don't have the resources to send out there. We do have a priority dispatch protocol to where if there are multiple high priority calls in a certain district or a certain smaller area, and there aren't enough officers assigned to that one area to respond to all of them, we'll take the next closest unit within the city and priority dispatch them there. You know, I'd like to say we get to every single call in a timely manner, but you know, with staffing the way it is and the high call volume in the city, it just isn't the case. So they're prioritized as they come and by severity of what's being reported.
Thank you, Captain Payne. And the next question is a very technical question. So I will pitch it to whoever is ready and willing to answer. California law prohibits, oops, where'd it go?
Councilmember, I think I might have answered it, right? So if you look at the answered section, in regards to, if you look at the bottom, maybe that was the one you were speaking at.
Yes, so that was the one I was about to ask. And so I'll just share your answer out loud. Relating to Megan's law and having multiple registered sex offenders living in one location, having someone, the response to the question is having someone with a 290 background does not eliminate the opportunity as indicated in California law. The severity and tier is what determines if you are allowed to live in Branham Lane as determined by the probation entities. So thank you, Cupid, for answering that question. And I appreciate all the questions that are being answered and asked in the chat. Another question that has come up is what kind of restrictions and background checks do clients at One Branham Lane go through?
Go ahead, Annette. Yeah.
Thanks, Cupid. So in addition to being a Homekey building, we are also part of the coordinated entry system. And that is facilitated through Santa Clara County's Office of Supportive Housing. So we have housing first frameworks and policies that we and all other providers within the county need to follow. And part of that is to remove any barriers possible to support folks to enter into our services and support them on their pathway of exiting homelessness. Based on that, we do no screenings around criminal history before we welcome a client in.
And there was a question about the Here For You hotline. I just want to clarify, Here For You is 408-385-2400. That is a call center that is really for individuals and households who are in need of services. If you are stably housed and looking for answers around encampments or other kinds of activity happening in your neighborhoods, the Here For You hotline is not the number you should be calling. I want to be very clear on that. However, if you know someone who is in need of services, Here For You that is the correct number for them. So individuals seeking services in need of housing, in need of other kinds of support, that's what that number is for. And it is available 7 days a week from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. So again, I'll just say Here For You, 408-385-2400, again, for people who are in need of services.
Thank you for sharing that line again. It looks like we have another question that I believe was answered about the encampment directly south of 1 Branham Lane along Monterey and Edenvale Regional Park. And so just to clarify and confirm, that encampment was reached out to, correct?
Yes, it was. It was the whole Monterey corridor. So both sides, including the tracks, was included in our proactive outreach for the Branham Lane.
And is there any additional information that you can provide about what the city or what our efforts in outreach are in terms of getting those folks housed or sheltered?
As far as case by case, I wouldn't be able to right now be able to talk about that. I just know that location has come up multiple times, and I've confirmed that we provided outreach, but I wouldn't be able to say exactly about the specific cases.
Okay. Well, thank you, Greg, for that answer. And again, to everyone who's been tuning in, everyone who's been asking questions, everyone who has been responding to the questions, I appreciate you deeply and I'm very grateful for your time. Again, this was our first informational session about 1 Branham Lane as a community. We are very grateful to everyone who was here to learn more about the collaborative effort that it takes to open and operate 1 Branham Lane. It truly does take a village to build community, and I appreciate the time that you all took to better understand how we can be a part of creating better, stronger, safer communities for all. While we may not have gotten to every single question tonight, we do have an email that LifeMoves has shared with us where we welcome your questions via email. We will be dropping that in the chat. And as a reminder, this webinar has been recorded. We will be posting it on the District 2 website, which is on the City of San Jose webpage. For questions specifically regarding 1 Branham Lane that we could not cover today. Again, please reach out to the email that was provided, branhamlane@lifemoves.org. And for all other questions, please feel free to email my office at district2@sanjoseca.gov or visiting the District 2 website. Again, links will be in the chat. I want to thank you all again for joining us this evening and wish you all a great rest of your night.